I'm Coach Joey D. Welcome to Hit It Great. Today we're going to talk about the shoulder fixes and flaws. And one of the things that we always get in golf is the shoulder becomes problematic when it's not properly addressed. And what do I mean by that? If it's not strengthened, if it doesn't have the right mobility, flexibility, it's not able to move the way it should move in the golf swing, it can become problematic. So let's talk about the first flaw and then the first fix. We know the elbow has to work in sync with the swing, right? So it needs to work in this fashion versus this fashion. And once you adduct, once you bring the shoulder too high, that starts to create sometimes impingement. So let's work on the first fix from that flaw. What we're gonna do is we're gonna grab a band from an attached point and we're gonna create some resistance, make sure it's anchored securely for safety first, and let's work on fix number one when we figure out what the flaw is, and that's what they call the classic chicken wing, or bringing the arm in an upward direction versus it moving in the right range of motion and the right movement pattern. So all basically we're gonna do is we're gonna attach our arm, the inside of our arm, bicep, forearm, elbow to our torso, and we're basically just gonna externally rotate. And you're not gonna go too fast, you're not gonna go too slow, 1, 2, and 1, 2. So that movement, you want to give the ability to go through a range of motion. Don't force it, and make sure it stays attached to your torso. The body works in balance, and to stay in balance, what you do to the right, you actually have to do to the left, right? And that's important because this works on addressing the movement pattern as the club goes from takeaway to halfway through to the top of the backswing, and the other side, it works on impact to follow through to the finish. So what you do to the right, make sure to do to the left. Both sides are equally as important. All right, next flaw and next fix. So what happens is if the shoulder, as the arm actually gets to its position to the top of the backswing, it really works like this mechanically, and then it's at about a right angle. But if you can't get that to work properly and the shoulder's not secure enough, strong enough, has enough mobility and stability, it'll never get there. So we start seeing things like the arm working in this direction, and you see what happens is we're moving in either one or two ways. We want to be able to have this set at a true 90. So that is the flaw. Let's work on the fix. So the fix would be pretty simple. You don't need a lot of resistance. Remember, band attaches to the point of load, has to be secure. We don't want anything to snap back and get hurt. Once you put your arm in the position that it needs to be in, all you basically have to do is anchor your opposite arm. Now you're in the position where the club would be pointing down to the target line, right? So let's take a look at what that looks like so your golf brain can switch on. Ready? Here it is. Boom. So that should give you the opportunity to know we don't want it here, we don't want it too high, we want it too far away or internally. So that gives you the idea to understand what it is that you're doing and why it matters. And once you get in that position, it's a step back and a step forward. Now, a couple little key points. As you move further away from the point of load, this band is going to want to rotate your upper superior mass. It is your job to engage your core and stay in the neutral position. And this is going to feel much harder than it looks. That's okay because these are smaller assisting muscles. They're not the primaries, not the big attractive ones or the ones that we all know about like pecs and lats and biceps and these are the stabilizers. They are important. Remember, what you do to the right, you have to do to the left, and you have to remember that once you're in that anatomical neutral position and your arm is set, stay very quiet, and this will be very effective. So I want you to try those two when that flaw happens and you can't set your arm at the top so the club is pointing parallel to the target line. Okay, so another shoulder flaw that we see in the golf swing happens at address when you get too protracted or the shoulders are too rounded, which creates you to lose or never actually have the proper spine angle at address. The shoulders get slouchy, lazy, or they're weak and they're not stable enough to set themselves in that neutral position, right? So we don't ever want this, that's bad. We want to be able to make sure we can control the shoulders and set them in a position where they support your spine angle. So if that is the flaw, let's talk about the fix. And this is a really great opportunity to always think about your address, your setup position. So I get in my golf setup position, I extend my arms down as if I were addressing the ball, and then from there, what I do is I literally retract my shoulders, and then I let them protract. So I pinch to that neutral position, I hold for a beat, and then I let it go. So retract and pinch, create that strength, stability, and awareness, and then I let it go. So I pinch and release. So if you struggle with your shoulders being protracted, slouchy, I like to use that word, it's very lazy, I want you to feel very athletic, very stable. Always keep your golf brain activated when you're doing these fixes from these flaws. One of the things we love to say and Hit It Great is if you get your body to do it right, you're always going to have a much easier time responding to what you should be doing so the body supports where you are in your golf swing.